One of the most common questions we get asked at the Adaptable Blotter team is whether all our features also work if the underlying grid which the Adaptable Blotter is sitting on has itself advanced features such as grouping, aggregation, banded columns, etc. And the answer is yes, it does. Anything which the underlying grid offers will still work when the Adaptable Blotter is integrated with it. And here's a demo that proves it. This is available at our demo website, which is demo.AdaptableBlotter.com. And we're going to run an AG grid, but we're going to run it in grouping mode. AG grid has incredibly advanced grouping and aggregation features, and we're going to look at some of them now and see how the Adaptable Blotter still works. But let's first start with a more typical collapsed grid, and let's just look at a few Adaptable Blotter features. So one of them, of course, is our quick search. So if I put in AT, I can see any column which has AT, and in fact, let's change that. So instead of highlighting the cells, it will only show me rows as well. So that's a quick search. Let's now create a couple of conditional styles. This allows you to style columns according to criteria you say. So let's start with this column. We'll do freight. And we're here using the famous Northwind database. People who've worked in old Microsoft technologies like SQL Server will recognize this database as being kind of the classic dummy data set they provide. And it's great for us because the Adaptable Blotter is completely data agnostic, so we don't really care what your data is. All our incredibly advanced features and functionalities will work. So here we are, we're saying that for the freight column, we only want to we want to style it wherever it's going to be greater than 100. That's our style. Let's now create a second style. Let's this time do a whole row. Let's change the back color to be blue this time. And let's give a different condition. You can have as many conditions as you want. You can have as many columns in each condition. Let's say here where the order cost, let's say, is going to be greater than, this time make it 50. So there's two styles, and you can see them both running here. Okay, let's now actually also do another object. Let's create an advanced search this time. This is a multi-column search that you can name, you can save, and it can reference as many columns with as many powerful queries as possible. We'll keep this one relatively simple though. Let's say go into the ship country, and let's just choose some countries. So France, Germany, Spain, UK, USA. So anywhere which has those ship countries, and let's add another condition as well. Let's say where the item count is greater than 10. Give that a name. So we'll call this group search. And there we are. It's only returning those rows which match the criteria. If I clear the search, I see everything. And when I apply the search, I only see the ones that apply. Okay, so there are three Adaptable Blotter objects, which all work fine. Now what happens if we move the grid into grouping mode? So let's do that. Let's turn on grouping. So let's first, what should we do? Let's first start with ship country. So we can now see do it by country, and you can see the styles that exist. And let's make it more interesting. Let's add another group. Let's add employee, and let's add ship via. So we've now got 3 levels of grouping. In each level, you've got the country, you've got the employee, you've got the shipping, and then you've got the item. And you can see that all our items still work. So there we are. There's our style, and there's our style. Quick search would also work. So for instance, if I do the search we did before, you can now see that the numbers have gone down, and it's only returning me any item that has that. And as soon as I clear it, instead of Venezuela being 11, it goes back up and you get all 42. Okay, so that's that working, and of course you can take things off. If we take off an item, everything else still works. What happens if we want to do updating? So let's imagine that we have an employee who leaves, and so let's put employee first. We've got an employee who leaves, and we reassign his records to someone else. So what would happen there? So let's imagine that, say, this Steve Buchanan leaves. So there's all his records here. Or we could do a bulk update, and you've got a choice now. You can either change him to being a different value, or let's imagine a new chap comes, John Smith. So we make that the new value, we apply that to the grid, and you can now see John Smith is here, John Smith is there, and everything else still works as normal, our styles. And obviously we can apply the search we did earlier. Here's the group search, and it's restricting it. So that's using grouping. What happens if we want to do some aggregation as well? Well, that will all still work as well. So let's use some of the AG grid aggregations. So let's put item count in here. And what else can we do? We can probably do order cost as well. So now we've got two aggregations. We're summing by order and we're summing by item cost. In fact, let's turn off that blue conditional style for a moment so then we can see it more clearly. In fact, let's add freight as well to our values. So there's freight. And you can see it's still picking up the style. Where it's less than 100, it's not showing the purple. Where it's more than 100, it is. And that's being when you move up as well. So you can use it in aggregation mode as well. And what happens if you want to go a stage further? What happens if you want to go actually into pivoting mode? So let's do that as well. Let's go into pivot mode. And again, you can see everything still works. Here's our freight. And then if we want to add additional things, so if we want to add ship via, and we want to add ship country back again, they all appear here. And once again, all the adaptable blotter objects still work. I'm running in group search, take the group search out, I can see more. If I apply my old search, that also applies still. And in fact, you can see it's reduced the rows, even though you can't obviously see the data. So that's pivoting mode as well. And one final thing which we've got applied here as well is you might notice that some of these columns are using grouping columns. So this is really essentially what other grids call banded columns, where you can put a series of columns together. So here you've got order, it treats all these as one. And what that means is you can't move the column out. What happens if you want to use some of our column features? Well, we know that it's a grouped column, a banded column, and we prevent it as well. So if I go into the column chooser, I can move order date down past required date and past order cost. And there we are, that will work fine. But if I try and move order date to the very bottom, it doesn't let me, or to the very top, it doesn't let me, and it comes back. So there we are. We've used the really first-rate, impressive AG grid grouping, aggregation, column banded grouping functions, and everything which the adaptable blotter offers still works exactly the same as with a regular grid. So AdaptableBlotter.JS and AG grid truly is a first-rate combination, giving you out of the box everything you could possibly want to style, manage, view, edit, search, audit, export your data. Please get in touch for further details. Thank you for watching.